Thank you for joining us here on another episode in this funky fresh new year. We got a lot of things to talk about, and we're gonna just dive right into it, man. You wanna kick it off with this
Yep.
Tapper and Noem
All
commentary, man?
So there were a few points of contention in my interview with Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem this morning, such as when I asked her why she didn't wait for a full and complete investigation before she asserted that the ICE officer in question did nothing wrong.
Well, everything that I've said has been proven to be factual and the truth. This administration wants to operate in transparency. I have the responsibility as the Secretary of Homeland Security to know this information as soon as possible. Had just been in Minneapolis the day before, had already had conversations with officers on the ground and supervisors, and knew the facts, and decided that the department and the people of this country deserve to know the truth of the situation of what had unfolded in Minneapolis.
I then pointed out that, in point of fact, not everything that she had said about the matter was accurate.
But with all due respect, Secretary, the first thing you said was, quote, what happened was our ICE officers were out in an enforcement action. They got stuck in the snow because of the adverse weather that is in Minneapolis. They were attempting to push out their vehicle, and a woman attacked them and those surrounding them and attempted to run them over and ram them with her vehicle. That's not what happened. We all saw what happened.
It absolutely is what happened.
I also asked her about the rules of law enforcement when officers feel as though their lives are being threatened, specifically about what happened 5 years ago on January 6th.
Those are law enforcement officers being physically attacked. By this standard, would any of those officers be justified in shooting and killing the people causing them physical harm?
Every single situation is going to rely on the situation those officers are on. That they know that when people are putting hands on them, when they are using weapons against them, when they are physically harming them, that they have the authority to arrest those individuals.
The president pardoned every single one of those people.
And make sure that they're getting justice for their actions going forward.
President Trump pardoned every single one of those people.
And every single one of these investigations comes in the full context of the situation on the ground. And that's one thing that President Trump has been so focused on, is making sure that when we're out there, we don't pick and choose which situations are and which laws are enforced and which ones aren't. Every single one of them is being enforced under the Trump administration.
In any case, we appreciate the Secretary coming on the show and answering these questions.
That is a lesson in propaganda.
110%.
My first reaction to watching the full 10-minute interview was, she's Caroline Leavitt level propagandist.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
She sits there with a straight face and she denies reality.
Well, one of the things I think that she has that, everybody knows is that she definitely has the backing of the president behind her, to the extreme point where she could pretty much say anything she wants to say. Obviously, some of it gets filtered and she has to make sure that she's in line with things before she goes off and says anything. But it's very clear that she definitely has some kind of sway there. The other thing that I thought about was the fact that they chose to go into Minneapolis, and knowing that George Floyd's situation took place there. I think that they already know that that location, that place especially, is already and still...
It's a powder keg.
Exactly.
Yeah. Dude, I know we like to joke around about him being incompetent. I definitely don't think he is as incompetent as people like to make him out to be.
No.
And I think his competence is in vengeance.
But I don't even think that's him. I think that's Stephen Miller. I don't think that was him that made that decision.
It gets across the finish line because Stephen Miller knows to appeal to Trump's hatred.
Well, yes, he definitely does. I mean, and that's another character to actually discuss, by the way. Doing a deep dive on Stephen Miller is something that I think is worthy of discussion. I think it definitely is. He's definitely a fascinating character. Also, he's happens to be Jewish, and I wonder how that. I know it plays out horribly for his family, from what I understand as well, by the way. But circling back.
I mean, we spoke about this before. He's living in military housing.
Yeah, he's living on a base. Yeah.
If you watch any of his wife's podcast, it's essentially crying about not being accepted for being piece of shit humans.
I could
This
care
is
less,
me
man.
playing the world's smallest violin.
Yeah, like, come on, man. You got to be kidding. Look, the fact of the matter is, you look at what they're promoting and how they're pushing this. And again, the fact they went to Minneapolis knowing the situation is already a little dicey there based on the history.
Yep.
It's such a strategic plan. You can't negate it. And the fact that she's doing like 1984 George Orwellian type of talk, where she's just like, nah, what you saw didn't happen, is bugged out. It's bugged out, man. You have to really think about that and how it plays a significant role.
It's what we said last week, dude. I was just doing some edits on last week's episode, and we talk about it there. We're living in 1984. The party is telling us not to believe, and Trump actually said this to them. I think it was in 2019, but we're being told to not believe our lying eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, I'm being told that what I just watched a couple of weeks ago on TV, is not what actually happened.
Right. That's wild. Now, the thing about Kristi Noem, and first of all, Jake Tapper, I give him credit for actually at least pressing her on some of the issues that she actually put forward, not just laying down as a journalist and just going,
Mm-hmm.
And you could see her face in this interview when he brings up the January 6th situation. Her face kind of gets real stiff.
Yeah, like, you got the audacity to ask me that?
Yeah, like this is another theme, right? An ongoing theme that this regime has to deal with, is that they have to go out in front of the public. J.D. Vance, Kristi Noem, Miller, I mean, they all have to go out in front of the public and talk to people, the press, at one point or another. And when doing that, the unfortunate thing is they must be plagued with so much anxiety, right? Where they're trying to figure out, like, am I going to be attacked in this interview with the truth, or are they going to softball it for me?
I think some of them have a skin thick enough that doesn't. JD Vance, I don't think he gives a fuck. He is either the recipient of a softball interview, or he's an attack dog. And if you see his statement the other day on ICE essentially having immunity to do whatever they want,
which
he's
is not
completely
law.
in attack dog mode. I mean, the way he came off on television is unbecoming of a vice president. He was literally attacking the press.
I think this leads to a bigger thing, which makes you wonder, is how powerful really are they? And I think the answer is they're not that powerful at all.
No. None of them.
Seeing it.
They literally all serve at the pleasure of Trump.
Mm-hmm.
Don't get me wrong, J.D. Vance, there are things he would have to put in place to get rid of J.D. Vance, but he's surrounded by enough sycophants that will get put in place. They'll figure out how to get it done. And I think that's the major difference between version 1 and version 2 of Trump, right?
Mm-hmm.
In version 1, he had the Millies, the Mark Millies. He had the career generals and the career bureaucrats who were there to be a guardrail. He doesn't have that now, and he intentionally doesn't have that now.
Absolutely. He has definitely put himself in a situation where everybody is just agreeable, and that's the best thing for him. And what do you make of, though, the media in this? Because I do think that the media is doing some work, mainstream media, but I do also think they're being very careful not to.
Yeah, I was going to say, I feel like the mainstream media, and that encompasses MS now. Honestly, that encompasses a lot of the quote unquote new media, the people doing what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them are doing just enough to seem rebellious, but not, they're not sticking their head up too high.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think you make a good point there, and that goes to that point that we spoke about last time. And this was something that the Democrats do is they have sort of like a release valve where they'll give people certain things, but not a lot, just enough to make sure people don't revolt and flip out on the streets.
Yeah, well, they'll give you the cathartic release so that you can be like, we protested, and then you get nothing for it.
Exactly. There's something going on with that that's very evident within media, and I think they're measuring to a large degree how far can they go.
Yes.
And when is too much.
Yes, definitely. Well, I mean, I think that is exactly what we're seeing in these cities. Each iteration of the ICE invasion, whatever you want to call it, occupation is really what it's like.
Yeah.
Each iteration of the ICE occupation gets more dramatic because this is, as always with Trump, a photo op. It gets more violent, and it comes in increasingly larger waves.
Correct. They're pushing the envelope because they're going to try to see how far they can go before. Because look, Kristi Noem, I just don't see these people lasting in America. I don't see her still working after she gets kicked out of the White House.
Oh no, they're
done.
The Republicans who have any potential career ahead of them in politics are all making that move now. You're seeing a lot of Congress members who are stepping down specifically to run for elected office in the state, which for a lot of these guys is a lot better of winning than having to run for a federal office. Because if they're in federal office when the midterms come up, they're going to be held accountable for their record. But if they run home now and can get elected in that same midterm to a local office, they're kind of wiping their slate clean. So that's why you see the Marjorie Taylor Greenes. I know they said there's a rumor that Johnson was not going to run again, but there's a lot, and there will be more Republicans retiring because they know that there's a bloodbath coming.
Exactly. They're stepping out of the way, and I think it's another thing we have to, like I said, we have to do which is call some of these people out that voted for all the nonsense that we have to deal with today. And the other question coming in, you have to say to yourself, what are they going to do to fix everything? Like when so-called Democrats come in, these centrist Democrats, what are they really going to do? Are they going to reverse ICE? Are they going to change the funding? Like, what are they going to do?
I don't think a majority in 2027 is a clear-cut corporatist mainstream Democrat party. I think there's going to be a lot more ideological diversity in the Democratic Party coming up. I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing, because some of that diversity will be more right-leaning. You're going to see at least a measurable amount of Republicans voting Democrat just to give the Republican Party a much-needed fucking colostomy.
Wake-up call.
I got you. They need to clean the shit out. That's what they need.
Clean the shit up. In the Cypher Podcast, folks. Like, share, subscribe. Thank you for checking in with us on the area dial right now. So let's dive into the next one. This is a Keith Porter, family of a man killed by ICE, seeking justice. This one's tough, man. L.A., ICE shooting.
That off-duty ICE agent accused of a deadly New Year's Eve shooting in the San Fernando Valley is now facing shocking allegations of abuse and using hateful remarks, according to a new LA Times report. And now the family of the man who was shot to death is continuing to look for justice. For that, we go live to Rachel, Fox 11's Rachel Aragon with the latest. Rachel?
Well, Phil, the attorney for that family, telling me earlier today he believes that these new explosive allegations first reported by the LA Times, he believes this could be the basis now for either a hate crime or possibly a race-related crime. Take a look here to get some background on this New Year's Eve killing. We know that 43-year-old father of two, Keith Porter, was fatally shot just after 10:30 p.m. by an off-duty ICE agent at an apartment complex in Northridge. LAPD said Keith Porter was firing celebratory shots in the air with an AR-15 style rifle. The off-duty agent, who also lives in the apartment complex, heard the gunfire and confronted Porter. Well, DHS security officials alleging Porter pointed a rifle at the off-duty agent during a confrontation in Northridge. The agent then shot and killed Porter. Now, DHS claims the off-duty ICE officer bravely, they say, responded to an active shooter situation at his apartment complex and was forced, they claim, to use his weapon to protect his life and others at the complex.
I think you've heard about this shooting, right?
Yes, I have. Not much. Honestly, I haven't heard much about it.
Yeah. Go ahead. I was waiting to hear you say a little bit more on that.
I had heard it in passing on one of the creators I listened to, but I mean, honestly, when I was actually pulling down some of this footage today, my wife thought this happened in Minneapolis because everything we've been hearing about ICE and everything is coming out of Minneapolis. Lo and behold, this is happening out in LA.
Yep.
Where I'm not saying that nobody considered that ICE was still out in LA, but all we've been hearing about is Minneapolis. So, and it also doesn't help. We talked about this last week. The victim of the shooting was not white, female,
Correct.
blonde,
Correct.
attractive, whatever else.
Yeah. She's not heterosexual. She's not attractive. If she looked more like Megyn Kelly, the reality is there would have been a huge uproar. And that's just what it is.
Yep.
It's unfortunate, but that's the truth. We have to look at this from a standpoint of, unfortunately, a lot of Americans don't value that much life. I mean, you could see they don't even value children that much the way they treat children.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a whole nother conversation, but it's across the board. And unfortunately, that's the same case in this scenario, which is, I mean, the problem with this one is that it's a black male and he had a gun in his hand.
Well, and man, I don't know if it's we
What do you
live
think?
in this. No. I mean, if anyone's listening, if anyone even that knows me knows, I'm a big supporter of the Second Amendment. I own a handful of firearms. I don't want to sound like I'm anti-Second Amendment, but it seems like motherfuckers only love the Second Amendment when it's white people. The moment somebody else, because look,
Mm-hmm.
the party that championed the Second Amendment and one of their favorite presidents, Ronald Reagan is the reason why there's a California firearms ban.
Yeah,
and the only reason that was done was because the Black Panthers armed themselves and were conducting street patrols.
Well, that was part of it. The biggest one was they walked into a federal building armed with guns, and that made them have to draw. They said, you know what, we're going to put a law in place because we can't have that happen again. Because if you got black people, it's one thing if it's a white person, but you got black people coming in with guns, nah, that's not going to happen, bro.
Yeah,
So
but that's my point.
line.
Is that while
Yeah.
I've seen videos with these people testing their Second Amendment freedom,
Mm-hmm.
and one of the ones I saw was these two guys. They were friends, a white guy and a black guy. These motherfuckers walked down the same street. They didn't run across the exact same cop, but they both ran across a law enforcement officer on the way down. The white kid, they didn't even fucking look at him, and he had a carbine rifle on his back. So he didn't have. It's not like he had a little gun on his hip. The nigga had power on his back.
Yeah.
They didn't say nothing. The black kid, he was on the floor before the cops were within 20 yards of him.
Because he didn't want to die.
Yeah, no, he didn't want to die, and they made it very clear that was a possibility.
Yeah.
They pulled up, and when I say they pulled up like, and hopped out. It was ready to go.
Yeah. Yeah, because in their minds, you know how the programming is, and that's one of the issues that we're going to deal with fundamentally. One of the things I will mention is that I did go to another DSA meeting, and in that
Mhm.
meeting, they did discuss police enforcement and handling the police in kind of like a community-based way. They did have a conversation about that, which I thought was good. Still, issue it's not an issue that provokes or brings out a lot in people because predominantly the majority of people in the DSA meeting were white. Yeah, so they're not looking
It's
at
not their issue.
it's not their issue. You know what I'm saying? I applauded the guy for bringing it up, but I was just like, these motherfuckers don't care. Pardon, they don't care about this. That's not
No.
you know what I'm saying? So it was good, but there still needs to be work there, and I think they know that and they're aware, and they're going to have to make steps in that area. By the way. So that's just a tail end, folks. But what else did you the other part of this clip? I think we need to just get
Yep.
forward on that next part.
Let me jump
I
back
think
to
it's
that.
important.
The attorney for that family.
And so this is a tough part. I mean, because look, what do you think about this? Because I want to know, from my standpoint, I'm supportive of people having the right to bear arms. I'm not against that at all. Much like yourself, the problem is I don't think it's safe for a black male to take a gun and go out shooting in the middle of the street at night.
I don't think, one, that's safe for anybody.
Yeah,
Two,
but
it's even less safe. Well, look,
yeah,
if something is not safe for your common or more commonly seen white person, it is infinitely less safe for someone your color, and it is slightly less safe for someone my color.
you feel me? Like
No.
that's
I dig it. Look. I might, troll you a little sometimes and say you're always talking about race, but it is the most common denominator.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oh.
What do you make though of this scenario of them saying this is going to be a possibility of a hate crime? Like, do you think they even have a standing chance on that? I don't know if they have a chance with that, unless they have documented evidence in which that's a whole nother part. Go ahead.
I think the only way they get a hate crime is if they have evidence that this person has done, hate crime level stuff before.
Correct. I don't know if they have that. I don't think they have that information.
Or if they have witnesses of him saying hate crime level stuff while he was,
Correct. Get on the floor, nigger, blah, 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 and all this other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Or I'll shoot. Something along those lines would lead to a definite issue with a hate crime. But the problem that they already face with this is that there's not even an investigation yet. There's no documents released by DHS or any group, not even the police department, because
You're not going to get any of that. You're not going to get any of that. If I were the prosecutor or the investigator here, I would work under the assumption that I'm not going to get any of those things, at least not until 2028, maybe 2026, maybe. But I think the chances of him getting impeached are.
I don't know. I don't see that this is going to be working out too well. This is going to take a long time.
Oh, the thing, and this is what somebody was saying about the Renee Good up in Minnesota. The thing with murder charges is there's no statute of limitation.
Right.
So,
What do you make about the whole breakdown though, that DHS is actually claiming that the actual ICE agent acted in a heroic manner, like he was saving lives because this guy they're stating basically in this video that he was actually an active shooter.
So
that's what they're saying.
No. Like I always, but like I say quite regularly, you got to view everything that the Trump administration does through the lens of advertising optics, right? I can know that I have a piece of shit product, but I cannot let on to that at no time. So whenever I'm talking about my product, I've got to be like, this is the best thing ever. It's the greatest. So the fact that the guy was an ICE agent, they could have found him in the Epstein file and they would have said, no, but he's one of the greatest agents ever. He's, a 10-year veteran. And because they have to talk it up, because if they don't, if Kristi Noem comes out and says, well, we're going to do the investigation and says all the things that she should say, Trump's not going to be happy.
Absolutely not.
Truth be damned. Trump needs to be happy. That's the most important thing.
Absolutely. One of the other parts that I was wondering about, and I think about this part when it comes to the data and the information, is that if you think you're innocent and if he acted in a just way, then the information would be released and he would have his name released and say, hey, I stopped an active shooter.
Yeah.
Because that's a big deal. To stop an active shooter, that's a big deal. I mean, we're just using logic here. We're not even trying to, you know what I mean?
It's literally the narrative that they love to run with. If this was not a hate crime or a murder, if this was really protecting the civilians, he's literally the good guy with the gun stopping the bad guy with the gun. So if that's the case, why isn't everything out? And remember the people you're dealing with. They always want that optics moment. If this was a good kill, if this was a clean kill, they would have had the fucking investigator with the red string showing you the fucking bullet path. They'd have done it all, bro.
They showed all that footage.
They'd have went and got Dr. Michael Baden, the world famous forensic scientist, and had him do the fucking autopsy.
They would have done all the footage, bro. They would have showed you everything. So that's the problem.
They'd have brought your man that played Dexter out of retirement just to do the crime scene.
And this is crazy because I got to tell you, man, there's no way that this should be able to fly. But right now, we don't have a choice but to actually keep pushing back. And I think Minneapolis is doing probably the best job in this case and scenario right now. New York isn't having it either.
I'll tell you this, I have not seen a video of Minneapolis, and I'm sorry, everybody, I'm sarcastic, so fuck y'all. I haven't seen a video about Minneapolis in the last week that hasn't given me a headache from all the whistling.
Yeah.
Yo,
bananas.
God bless y'all, bro, because you're doing the Lord's work.
Yeah, it's true.
And I'm not going to make this another philosophical thing, but that is the Lord's work because he said that we are supposed to be good to the foreigner because at one point we were a foreigner in Egypt.
Yeah. That's very true. Very true. In the Cypher Podcast, folks, bad guy getting all spiritual and metaphysical with y'all right now. So enjoy it. Enjoy it. So here's another clip we're going to dive into. This is the deep dive of Renee Nicole Good.
The rules of use of force are different between a local agency like Detroit Police and a federal one like ICE and DHS. So we actually tracked down their official policy to compare their written regulations and how things unfolded in Minneapolis. Now, here's the deal. There are 3 excerpts that we want to highlight for you. When it comes to deadly force, the guidelines read like this. Officers may use deadly force only when necessary. That is when the officer has a reasonable belief that the subject of such force poses an imminent threat of death or serious bodily injury to the officer or another person. Deadly force shall not be used solely to prevent the escape of a fleeing subject. Now, on the very next page of the guidelines, there is a specific subsection having to do with vehicles, and it reads this. Officers are prohibited from discharging firearms at the operator of a moving vehicle unless the use of deadly force against the operator is justified under the standards articulated elsewhere in this policy. And when it comes to first aid, this is important. You just heard Steve talk about that. Why? Well, the policy reads, as soon as practicable following a use of force and the end of any perceived public safety threat, officers shall obtain appropriate medical assistance for any subject who has visible or apparent injuries. This may include rendering first aid, requesting emergency medical services, and or arranging transportation to an appropriate medical facility.
Case closed.
Wait a minute, though. That was how long ago? When was that?
The date on that? I don't know. I got to double check that one.
Yeah, because didn't you also send me a link to the current website?
Oh, the current website is disgusting. It's disgusting, man. The
current website got pulled out of the fucking Epstein file.
Oh, yeah. It's wild, man. I didn't think, I have to admit, I didn't think they would do that. I didn't think they would do that.
There you go, America. So you know that we're not talking shit.
This is the website, folks. Basically, those numbers B7 and E, they base those letters and numbers alphanumerical. They basically are stating that this has been redacted due to the fact that there's an ongoing investigation. But since when did you redact the law in an ongoing investigation?
Well,
See it?
hold on. Let me explain it. If the protocol doesn't exist, if I can't read the protocol, he hasn't broken the protocol.
Correct.
Welcome to the upside down world, everybody.
Yeah.
It's there. It's there, but it's behind a black box. And I promise you, they paid their motherfucking Adobe this time. I promise you, Adobe is paid off.
Man, if it wasn't for the journalist that did the work and found out the actual information prior, we wouldn't know. Like, they literally made this disappear, folks. Like, you really have to comprehend and understand that they literally remove the law from the website. So people cannot do active searches and find out the information, because they know that if you find out the information, which they just showed, the only thing you would come to as far as conclusion is to go, they're guilty.
Yeah.
They're guilty, 110%. So the fleeing vehicle part is the other part of this that may need to be checked into. That's another part of this video. I don't know if you got that one.
Yeah. Give me a second. So I know since the shooting, they have come up with a couple of new angles as well.
Yes, they have. I don't want to show the shooting because I don't want to keep seeing that image. I think it's not good for anybody to keep seeing that.
Yeah, I've had my fill of analyzing it. I'm not going to find anything that anybody else hasn't found. And man, that's a fucked way to go, man.
Trying to escape danger and you end up dead, murdered.
Let me pop this one up. There we go.
There's a specific subsection having to do with vehicles, and it reads this: officers are prohibited from discharging firearms at the operator of a moving vehicle unless the use of deadly force against the operator is justified under the standards articulated elsewhere in this policy.
It's clean. It's very clear cut. And I'm not a lawyer. I might argue like one, but I am definitely not a fucking lawyer. But I mean, typically government policies are written to be clear cut so that they're very unambiguous. Mainly so that when you break a rule, there's a clear cut rule that I can point to and say that you broke the rule. That's what used to be behind the black boxes that we showed you a little while ago. But since it's a black box, it don't exist. So he didn't do nothing wrong. So we can't be mad.
Can't do anything. So what do you think now when it comes to the actual data, the actual policies that are pushed forward, and the fact that we know what the law is and what they're saying, and how far do you think they're going to keep going to push this narrative? Do you think they're going to continually hide this guy and keep him safe, keep him covered? By the way, he has a GoFundMe that has gotten, I think, close to like 700,000 or something like that already.
Not a GoFundMe. He cannot do that on GoFundMe. It's
what does he have now?
Give, Pay, Go, something like that.
Yeah, he's getting some funding, and one of the largest people that gave him something was the owner of Oracle, by the way.
Oh man, I know some billionaire gave his account and then was trying to give supposedly Renee Good's account $10,000. He was able to get it into the other one, into the shooter, but he couldn't get the money to Renee Good because her wife, after a huge outpouring of money, shut down the fucking fundraiser.
Oh wow.
Yeah, she asked that anyone who still wanted to donate money to Renee donated to other people who are being affected by ICE because there's no shortage of those.
Yeah, okay, I see. And a GoFundMe account for Renee Nicole Good raised over $1.5 million in donations. The campaign was initially set to raise $50,000. It surpassed that amount shortly after her tragic death. Jonathan Ross crowdfunding, that's what it is.
Yeah. But it's clearly, I mean, in normal world, we see that and we're outraged. In a normal world, remember, these are the people who ran around with the Gadsden flag, don't tread on me. These are the Ruby Ridge people. These are the people who think David Koresh was on the right track because the government was overreaching. This is the same people, right? These are the same people who want us to believe that January 6th was okay because those people were just exercising their rights.
Wow.
This lady was clearly, again, there are multiple angles. We're not just talking about the angle, the original one we saw, and then the one they released from his phone. There's another angle from a security camera at somebody's house where you can clearly see that the car, as it's moving forward, is not in any danger of hitting him. And he's reaching over the hood of the car to shoot.
Yeah. I mean, if we look back at the video.
And hold on real quick. The other thing is, from what they're reporting, or what the local police were able to report about the gunshot wounds, is the shot in her face came as the car was already driving away from the ICE agent.
Yeah.
The other two were center mass shots, which she might have been able to survive.
It was fast, and it took 11 seconds for this situation to escalate, by the way, folks. And 11.13 seconds from
beginning to end, from when she's backing out and then trying to go forward.
Yeah, this was a real fast scenario. And this gentleman, Ross, I mean, you call him a gentleman, I guess, but he's amassed $1 million in funds, and some of it is from GoFundMe, and another one is from Give, Send, Go.
That's what I was talking about.
Yeah, so he's definitely getting some money there, and it's definitely noticeable. Organizer Clyde Emmons branding a good domestic terrorist, and wrote that Ross was 1,000% justified in shooting, deserves to have a GoFundMe. Jesus Christ.
Dude, but even hold on. Even the dude that opened that up for him, one, don't be surprised if the motherfucker never gets the money. One, they like to grift. Two, even his little statement of why he should have the GoFundMe is essentially him griping and trolling.
Yeah. That's one of the things that I've noticed about the Trump community and how they play. They just troll a lot. And it's different. The difference is like, if you're doing the trolling and you're expecting to get something out of it that's going to be constructive that we could build off of, that's one thing, right? But most of the time, they're just trolling for trolling's sake.
Yes.
And I'm baffled by that, because that's where I go, you have a mental problem. And
dude,
we all got mental problems, but they have real serious ones, bro. Please, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, I saw a comedian the other day say, these people are so brainwashed that Trump could wake up in the morning and accidentally bomb Iowa, and they would look at each other and be like, cool, man, because somebody's being trolled.
Yeah, I think so. I think they have no bearing in this situation whatsoever.
Yeah.
They don't care.
And that's why I said, I told you a few weeks back, when he's gone, a lot of these people will be uninvolved in politics.
You're right about that. You're right.
I think you'll see a few try to, carry the flame, but there's no transference of that cult of personality. That is legitimately what a cult of personality is, right? It's everyone gathered around this one figure, and when that figure is gone, that energy goes with it.
Mm-hmm. What do I see in the future? I see a lot of people leaving America that co-signed onto this. Like, if they stay, and because I'm telling you, the henchmen, all the people behind him, they are in for it.
Well,
because if you're living on a military base now,
supposedly that's what they want to do. Why they're so interested in Venezuela. One of the many conspiracies, because there's always a conspiracy. Supposedly there's some island off the coast of Venezuela that the billionaires have invested lots of money into, and that's where they all want to go. So that's why they're so worried about Venezuela.
Really? I thought there was Well, that means there's another one because there's an experimental island in Honduras,
Yeah,
off
I
the
know
coast
that
of
one too.
Honduras,
Yep.
and that's the one where they're trying experiments to try to see. And by the way, folks, you could check this out. This is not me like hearsay stuff. They're trying test on like basically trying to extend their lives. They've been working with the gentleman. I can't remember his name right now, but he's also a billionaire tech investor, and he basically spends his whole time trying to be trying to live forever. Basically, he's trying to find the fountain
Dude,
of youth.
these people have fully embraced the James Bond sci-fi supervillain role. Like,
Of
it's what they
course,
aspire to be.
of course. I don't even think they know that they're doing it yet
Nah,
until
man, fuck
I
out of
think
here.
they get to a
Elon Musk,
space.
one of Elon Musk's fucking handles on the internet is the name of a James Bond villain.
Oh,
They
so he's
know.
still yeah. So they
Dude,
doing it.
I've
Yeah.
told you about this is that edgelord culture. And that's that's one of the big parts of edgelord culture is that trolling for trolling's sake. That they don't even really care about the real issue that they're trolling you about. They just want to troll you. Their whole goal is to make you upset.
I see that all the time, man. Like I said, I
But your
do.
man's that's in the chat with you, bro.
Yeah.
I'm
And I
sure
think
he
it's
wakes up and sees some new meme on one of his groups and he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna piss these motherfuckers off today."
yeah. I think he goes. I told my lady, I said, I think he goes home after he does it. He like goes and
Yeah,
masturbates about that. Like,
yep, yep. I
got
got
him,
these niggas.
like sickos. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like this is essentially what we're dealing with. Now, the other part now I wanted to jump into, like, share, subscribe, folks, in the Cypher Podcast. Let's jump into this journalist. I think that's done really good work. I believe her name is Laura
Yes.
Jadi.
Yeah, she's got a part. I know. I saw the interview the other day, and part of the hilarity is that her name is so easily searchable because she's like the only person with that name on the internet.
Yeah, that's a unique name, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And she
it's a
says it.
very unique
I don't
name.
know if we have it in the clips we have here, but she does say at one point, "How didn't they search my name? I'm so easily searchable."
Yeah, I got a lot of that. You'll see in this clip coming up, man.
Our next guest went through the agency's recruitment process as an undercover journalist, and her experience suggests something that might be even scarier. ICE's recruitment push is so sloppy that the administration effectively has no idea who's joining the agency's ranks. Joining me now is that journalist and author of the Substack Firewalled Media, Laura Jadid. Laura, your plan was never to become an ICE agent, but just to apply for the job. What stood out to you when you went to the ICE Career Expo in Texas?
Well, the expo was all I was intending to write about. And a few things just from that, it was very empty. There weren't a lot of people there. They seemed to expect a lot more people than showed up. The venue was far too big for the number of people there were. And the interview itself took about 6 minutes. I've been accused online a bit of lying by omission. And for that to have happened, they would have had to ask me more questions. They asked me questions like my name, my date of birth, how old I am. They took my resume, which was 100% accurate. And they said that I would hear back. I didn't expect to hear back because I have a very unique name. And the minute you type that name into any computer, it becomes immediately obvious that I'm not an ideal recruit. I'm a journalist. I am very clear online about how I feel about ICE, about how I feel about the Trump administration. So I didn't expect to hear back from them ever again.
What do you think about the fact that this big expo took place, of course, down in Texas, and the fact that barely anybody showed up,
Well,
she said?
dude, they already got the people who were going to do this job. Those people jumped on day one. There might have been a little bit when they started incentivizing joining. There might have been a little bit of an uptick there. But the people that really want to do this, they're there already.
They're there.
It's
They'd
honestly, it's
have
the
done it for
same
minimum
story.
wage.
Oh, fuck yeah. Some of these motherfuckers would have done it on a militia basis, on a volunteer basis.
Mm-hmm.
But what I was going to say is it's the exact opposite of what you're seeing on the immigration side. They already got out most of the criminals. Are there still some hiding out? Yeah, of course. There's always going to be criminals. That's what criminals do. But they got the majority of these criminals out. The reason they got the majority of them out is because the majority of them were already locked up.
Right.
And they got them the fuck out.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And then, all right, so you want to go after the people who are overstaying visas? They've also got most of them out.
Mm-hmm.
If you need evidence of that, just look at the fact that they're going to court hearings to grab people on their way out of the hearing. They just grabbed one of the somebody that works for the New York State Council.
City Council. Yeah. Yeah. They just grabbed him and his paperwork was good. There's nothing wrong. They were just coming after him just because.
Well, he's Venezuelan.
Yeah. Yeah. They got their numbers, man. They got their numbers. Also, there is a list. I believe it's
Are you talking about ICE list?
Well, it's a list. It's a visa list where they're refusing visas or paused visas from certain countries. I think
they have like 20-something countries on that list that they're refusing visas from.
Yeah, predominantly non-white countries.
Yep.
Predominantly. It's sick to see that shit. Like, I got to admit, like, I was looking, and of course, my country's on there, by the way. Jamaica's on there, by the way.
Really? Jamaica's on that list?
Jamaica's on that list.
Are you fucking...
Jamaica's on that list for 110%.
But I hope that Jamaica doesn't allow tourism from the United States.
They're going to, because that's one of their major sources of income.
I know.
The thing that they're doing is they're not co-signing like the Prime Minister of Trinidad along with America. That's the difference. The Jamaican population is not going like, oh yeah, we're pro-U.S. The Prime Minister is not doing that. However, the Prime Minister has been known and seen in public having meetings where he has been talking with Israel. And I'm like, why? Like, what is Israel going to do for Jamaica? I'm not sure what the connection is, but there's some connection there because I saw them both on the podium talking, and I was like, what?
I'm gonna put my silver-colored tinfoil hat on for a second.
Make it happen.
If Israel, as the government, is talking to the government of another country, they're probably selling them some of their software. So Israel is the premier vendor of software that will either hack your devices,
spy shit.
I think they're beyond spy, man.
Yeah. No.
They're so beyond.
Folks, I'm speaking in layman's terms for people, but I'm talking like when we say spy, when I say spy, I mean hacking as well. I'm talking about all types of bugs that could be underneath your toilet seat and you don't even know because they're water resistant, all this stuff.
Palantir, it might not be Palantir, but I know one of these software providers gave the software essentially taps phones at the access point. So all they have to do is on a map, draw a circle around a map, and it starts infiltrating the cell towers inside of that map.
That's Palantir. Absolutely. That's it. You're right.
Crazy, son. And if anybody knows anything about networks, if you own the access point, you own the data.
That's it. You have everything that you need and you have everything that you want. The disturbing part, though, with what's happening as far as, and I'm just digressing back a little bit with this situation with Laura and Jadid, is that after all this, they accepted her and they didn't do any real background check.
Dude, they didn't even...
Scary.
They didn't even process her drug test.
So I missed the initial email because I wasn't expecting it. Again, I expected them to Google me, and they didn't. A few days later, they sent a tentative job offer. And with that tentative job offer, they sent a bunch of paperwork that I would need to fill out for consideration. I would need to accept the tentative job offer. I needed to fill out paperwork saying I'd never been convicted of domestic violence. I needed to fill out paperwork for background check information. I needed to sign an affidavit that I could pass a PT test, all of this stuff. None of which I did because I didn't see it. And yet, apparently the application advanced anyway, because a couple weeks later, I got an email from LabCorp saying, hey, come and take a drug test for ICE. And I was pretty sure that wasn't going to work out well. Cannabis is legal in New York State, and I had partaken of it 6 days before their test date. But, you know, why not? I went ahead and took the test anyway. And then 9 days after I took that test, I because they're supposed to call you when you fail. So I was curious, like, did I somehow pass this test? So I logged into the ICE hiring portal and was shocked to find that the ICE hiring portal listed me as having a final offer, as having accepted that final offer, and as having a start date of September 30th, which was 3 days before I checked the portal.
Oh, what did you see they were doing?
Yeah, I mean, this is one of those the dog that didn't bark things. It's what they weren't doing. And those are the questions they weren't asking. They seemed uninterested in that sort of thing. It really was kind of just we're going to get you in process. We're going to get your application. We're going to get this demographic data, your basic information. We're going to run it through, and then we'll process it as fast as we can. And they said they were prioritizing law enforcement first, so I might not hear back right away. But people were getting same-day offers. So, it seems like this is a systemic thing. It seems like they're very incurious about the people who are applying. And the people who are applying seemed like a rather incurious bunch as well. I talked to an ICE agent. That was not part of the interview. That was optional for me later if I wanted to just get a feel for the job. And there was no line for that. No, there weren't a lot of people there anyway. There weren't a lot of lines for anything. But nobody seemed particularly interested in doing that. When there was a Q&A, everybody was very curious about the training. But people didn't have a lot of questions about the job. It's just odd.
I wish getting a job was that easy.
You know, the funny thing is, I was listening to it thinking the exact same thing. Like, damn, I wish it was like that for real. Like, I didn't have to do a drug test or anything. And I don't even smoke anymore or anything, folks. I'm sober patroller when it comes to that, but wow. Like, and this puts everybody in danger because this could be somebody that's a sex offender. This could be somebody.
That's the thing. Well, look, somebody made a good point the other day. I don't know who it was, but they said, is it a coincidence that you haven't heard anything about the Proud Boys? You haven't heard anything about the Oath Keepers? You haven't heard anything about any of these people this year?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they all got jobs.
They all got jobs, bro. They all have jobs. It's 110% that they're in these groups, and they are that far right fringe that people should be concerned about because they're not stopping with so-called black and brown people. They're going after anybody that aligns with them, anybody that is not a white nationalist or white supremacist, white Christian nationalist. You're doomed in this regime, and they don't care.
One of Taddeo's best-selling T-shirts on his Proud Boys site was Right Wing Death Squad. They, like I said, and you can see it by looking at the interactions they're having with people. These are those guys. I promise you, anybody wants to take this one to the bank, they can. There are a lot of Proud Boys. There are a lot of January 6ers wearing ICE uniforms right now.
Absolutely. They're getting out there and doing what they got to do. There are very few that have stepped away because they see that Trump is a pedophile. Since the Epstein files don't come out, some stopped. But for the most part, the majority of them are gun-ho, like, let's go.
The vast majority of them. The ones that I have seen hop off are either the ones who have a financial loss at stake. So a lot of these podcasters are starting to turn against them because their audiences are unhappy. So they have a financial stake. Honestly, I think that's it. I was going to say something else, but I don't really see anybody else.
I think that's one of the big things I don't think people understand is those groups, right? We're talking about the podcasters. We're talking about influencers. These people are a small minority. And I don't think people understand how small they are. The thing is, the reason why they get pushed so much is because they do have the financial backing on the right, and they'll put the money behind their machine in order to put these people in your face, and you'll see them in your algorithm more frequently and go, why am I only seeing such and such? Because I'm going to tell you, I have multiple accounts, and I think everybody should do this. A suggestion, you should have a quote-unquote mid account, like one account that's kind of in the middle, not too liberal, not too democratic, see where it goes. Then have another one that's really democratic or a so-called left, and then have another one that's a little bit more right-leaning and see who comes up. It's fascinating. And even in my left sphere, I still don't get people like Dr. Gerald Horn. I still don't get people like Dr. John Henry Clark. I don't get professors and teachers. I still, on the left, get
Well, hold on. You don't get professors and teachers that look like you.
No, not at all.
You get because there's a lot of quasi intellectual educational stuff out there.
I will get Neil deGrasse Tyson. I'll tell you that.
He's a Bronx nigga, but
yeah, come on, he's still a good.
Nah, he is.
He's
Don't
knowledgeable.
Get me wrong. He's
knowledgeable.
He's very knowledgeable, bro. I'm not taking anything away from him, but he's the LL Cool J of minority intelligentsia. Not even science, though. I think his reach, because he's made that crossover, obviously everything he talks about is going to be science related, but he's accepted by the masses.
Absolutely.
Right? So he's made, and that's why I said LL Cool J, because he's successfully crossed over. Right? He didn't cross over and sell out, which you get a lot.
Right.
He successfully made the crossover, but he's still that dude.
And I still appreciate the fact that he takes time out to actually have conversations with a lot of people on different podcasts. I don't know how he has the time, but I do know one thing. I saw he had a show where he was going to be a speaking event out here in Jersey City, and I got to tell you, man, when I looked at the price, I was like, whoa, Neil. What you talk, chill, son. Like, you're just talking. You're not like curing cancer and shit. Like, what the fuck?
How much were these
part
seats?
of my language. They were expensive, man. I couldn't do it. It was above 200 or close to like 200 plus, and they weren't the greatest seats. It was just like, I was like, damn.
Side note, ticket pricing for events is retarded, bro.
And rigged.
Well, it used to be rigged. Now it's some other level of rigged, because it used to be that almost everything was Ticketmaster, right? So now it's either Ticketmaster or Live Nation. Or if you don't get those good tickets immediately when they go on sale, you're buying them off of a third-party seller.
Yeah. And that's whack.
And if you search for tickets, if you go into your Google and look up your favorite band, the first 4 or 5 links are all going to be to these third-party sellers.
Yeah. I've noticed I've had to do some deep digging when it comes to stuff like that. Kind of irritates me.
Oh, hell yeah, brother. I hate it.
You know what I'm saying?
A little tip for anybody looking for event tickets: go to one of those 2 sites and search what you're looking for there. So either go to Live Nation or to Ticketmaster.
Right.
And even there, you're going to get presented with resale tickets, but at least there you'll get the available venue tickets.
Better that way than getting ripped off.
Oh, hell
at
yeah.
least.
I always try to get the tickets directly from the venue.
And that's something, man. Coming up is going to be Valentine's Day, man. What you got planned? Anything yet?
No, I don't have anything. I'm going to cook. That's kind of my thing for Valentine's Day. I'll make a nice dinner.
All right, chef.
Try to give my wife the day off as much as possible.
Right. Well, that's still good, man. That's a great look.
Yeah, we got our anniversary is almost exactly a month after. It's a month and 3 days after Valentine's. So we've always been more just to celebrate our anniversary.
Got it. Yeah, ours is June, so we're in the hot season.
Summer love.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
I think
I got a little something planned. Gonna try to go to a concert. And speaking of concerts, that's what when you said that, it reminded me like we're gonna have to dive into that. Take care of some tickets.
Yeah, man.
You know, like, share, subscribe, folks, in the Cypher Podcast. We're just politicking right now. The last article I said on there, and this is something I think we spoke about a little bit, was the Canada trade deal with China. Xi Jinping made that deal, and I'm surprised it went through with such a low tariff on these e-vehicles. And I'm talking like, I think what's the number of vehicles that they're able to sell? Like 39,000, 49,000 or something like that? I think it's a lot.
Yeah, I mean, it's 49,000. I've got the article up here.
Right,
Uh,
right.
so it says Canada is allowed to sell 49,000 Chinese electric vehicles into market at a tariff of 6.1%.
That's nothing
No, and these cars are selling for like $35,000 for a good car.
for a good car. Like,
Yeah, man.
all you got to say is the word, and it's a road trip. Like, it's just what it is. Because
Dude,
the
and
problem,
American automakers are going to suffer directly because of this.
I think so too. I
But
think so too. I think,
the tariffs though, bro, we're going to get the $5,000 tariff check.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. This is major. This is
Yeah.
major. So the other thing, though, is that it does hurt Canada because Canada does have automaking there in their country, and it will do a little damage there for Canadians. Apparently, it's a scenario that they felt they were never involved. The Canadian unions weren't involved,
Mhm.
and neither were the Canadian car makers involved at all.
Mm.
So this dude made the deal without speaking to any one of them, which I find just, I don't even know. I don't know how you do that, but this is going to be a big thing because I do think people up north here in the Northeast America
Yep.
will travel over the border, get that car. The only thing that I'm trying to figure out is how do you change the license plate and all that other stuff? Like, how do you do that there? You know what I'm saying?
So you'll probably see dealers doing what you're talking about because they can drive
Mhm.
around with a dealer plate that they can transfer vehicle to vehicle. But what you got to see, and if Canada's smart, they place a bigger tariff on you exporting that car than they have for importing it. Oh, look, dude, Canada is not going to make it easy to get that car out of the, and even with the tariff, unless they do some wild Trump style tariff, even with the tariff, it'll still be cheaper than a Tesla.
Yes, absolutely. That's the crazy part, right? Still cheaper
Mhm.
than a Tesla. Can't get
And
around it.
dude, if China's smart, they make a deal with fucking Mexico too. Box the United States
Ooh,
in.
box us in. Yeah, box the United States in. All the other Americas are doing something except for us.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a plan and a half. One of the things I wonder about is how long does Trump think this is going to last? I get the feeling that he thinks he's going to be able to push this agenda, ICE, everything that he's doing financially with the tariffs. I think he thinks that he could keep doing this, but I know right now he's scared because of the midterms.
Well, I think he will continue trying, even if there's, the proverbial bloodbath in the midterms. I think he's still going to continue trying to push the envelope. I honestly think and it shouldn't wait until they figure out that they've won. But if Democrats do win the midterms, they need to come in with a list of impeachments on day one. And honestly, I think it would, contrary to popular belief, I think it would pay to run on that. Run on the fact that we're coming in and we're going to investigate all of this bullshit.
I think that would draw more Americans in if they did that. And then the second thing, if they would actually speak on affordability and healthcare.
Yeah.
They came with a new deal. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, but for a new deal, you need the presidency. What they
I'm
need
just
to
saying.
do. No, listen.
Go ahead.
What they
Go
need
ahead.
to do is clear the way for that. You get what I'm saying? The 2 years from 2027 to, well, the 2 years from election cycle to election cycle, the Democrats need to spend that time clearing the way. Get Bondi out, get Patel out, go after the low-hanging fruit that you can impeach on actual shit so that the apparatus is as disarmed as possible so that there is a clean transition. That needs to be job number one.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have the time in that 2 years they can talk about it, and it is probably going to be the best time to start beating that drum, but they don't have the power to do anything about healthcare. Even if they take both houses, they might be able to force funding and everything, but to truly change it, you need the presidency.
Yeah, I agree. I think having the conversation and putting that out there, just the same way that Trump was basically saying, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that.
Yes.
You might
you're
as well
right.
just say the same things.
Yes. Yes,
might as
you are
well.
right. They've got to be willing to play the game on the field that their opponent has chosen to play it on. And if that means, look, Mamdani's not going to get everything he promised done, but the fact that he's at least promising and then at least giving the appearance of trying to fulfill those promises is going to garner him the love.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. It'll get him way more credit and respect in his space than ever.
Yep.
I do think so. We got a lot of work to do, man, in this process. We're just going to do our thing to make sure we keep communicating and sharing the information with you folks.
Mm-hmm.
And at the same time, we're going to try to make sure that, man, we try to promote some of the groups. The DSA is doing some good stuff. Democratic Socialists of America, they are doing some good things. So check it out. If not, volunteer at your food pantry, or do something for the homeless. Just figure out different ways to make sure you form a community, man. Because I do think that that's a process, and that's a thing that we need to get back to. We don't have communities and hoods like we used to. Not even in New York City.
Find your local ICE center and fucking protest there.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Get out and let yourself be heard, but be safe out there because it's no joke, as we know.
Yeah, man.
As we know.
Especially if you're not of the preferred complexion.
If you don't have the complexion for the protection for the collection.
It's for real though, man.
Yeah, I know.
You see, and honestly, I think we might be approaching the turning point on that because they've been beating the shit out of a lot of these white kids up in Minnesota.
What do you mean? You think that they're gonna? Oh yeah. There's gonna be some of that. I think
we're at an ideological point, right? They're willing to beat up anybody whose ideology isn't the same as theirs.
Oh yeah, they're definitely going to do that, but I don't think it's like it's one of the things that I'm concerned about with like dealing with the DSA and dealing with any organization that's predominantly white led.
Mm-hmm.
They tend to have a blurred vision about things because they can only see mainly what's in front of them. They can't look down. And unfortunately, we're the faces at the bottom of the well that they don't see.
Oh yeah.
And it's problematic because they could take care of their issues, but ultimately they're not going to take care of ours because they just don't see them. And most of the time, my personal opinion, I don't even think it's an opinion, I think it's a fact, they don't care. They don't care enough.
Yeah.
They don't, man.
People don't care about people tend to not care, especially Western culture. They don't care about something until it arrives at their doorstep.
Yeah.
I firmly believe that my neighbors could see ICE running in my house, and my neighbors are Cuban, could see ICE running in my house and not give a flying fuck. But expect all the sympathy in the world should the tables be the shoe be on the other foot.
Of course. You know this, brother. That's a sick thing though, right?
Yeah.
Mentally, that's a definitely disturbing thing because that means that they lack any kind of empathy at all. They can't even see anything past their noses.
Mm-hmm.
And that is a Western culture trait. You have to be literally wired and configured that way.
This girl coined a new phrase, man. She doesn't want to call it. I've sent it to you. I've sent you some of her videos before. Very pretty black girl.
Oh,
very
I know what you're
smart.
talking about. Yeah.
Very smart.
Yeah.
She wants to start calling it not white supremacy. What does she call it? White narcissism.
White narcissism. Yeah, that's pretty good.
I'm gonna find the video. I'm gonna dig through my history just to find the clip to send it to you because she makes a really strong case for why it's not. I mean, aside from any jokes you want to say about blotchy skin and all that shit, nothing about white superiority comes off as superior or alpha in any way. They're constantly crying about the being, the second place citizen in a world where they are the ruling class, right?
Yeah.
Every little thing that doesn't go their way is a conspiracy against them, and it's the great replacement theory. It's all this bullshit, and they're still on the top of the fucking totem pole. There's nothing superior about that. If anything, it lines up more with someone who's narcissistic because a narcissist cannot, what you were just explaining about not being able to understand things because they have no empathy and they can't feel for something that hasn't befallen them.
Mhm.
That's exactly what they are. They don't understand being poor, even though so many of them are, because they're not dealing with what they just saw happening on TV. So since it's not exactly their flavor of being poor, it don't matter to them. Fuck those people.
Yeah, yeah. And one of the things I think that hurts is it's not even just hurting white people, it's hurting us too, is the disassociation due to the devices we have. We've become so disassociated, and it's hard
Yep.
because me and my lady, we have get-togethers in our place on a frequent basis. And I say frequent, I mean probably like 2 or 3 times a year, by the way. But we'll have intermittent ones with, smaller groups of people, not like 20 or so that sometimes come.
Mm-hmm.
So the thing is, though, getting people together seems to be harder and harder. And I don't think people realize this is that once you get a little older, you're getting into your 40s, late 30s, mid 30s as well,
Mm-hmm.
you start to distance yourself a lot from friends and from family. And I see that happening more and more where people choose to be by themselves or alone. And I think it's a bad space to be in because you need community. You know what I'm saying? Like you need to have, if you live in a building, you need to have some kind of communication, some friendship with some neighbor inside of that building that will not just have your back when it's a good scenario and be like, oh yeah, we got food here goes some food. Nah, somebody that when if something goes wrong, somebody falls down the stairs, boom, you could call this person and go, yo, such and such, my grandma fell down the stairs. Can you go help her? Blah, blah, blah. That's the type of thing you need to have.
Yeah,
If you
no.
go,
I don't disagree. I was gonna disagree with you, but I don't, because I got a neighbor like that. Like I know, and me and him don't even hang like I figured we would. I'm not saying that in a bad way. I actually appreciate that.
right.
But I know if like when if the car breaks down or if I'm not home and an emergency happens at home, I call him and he'll be here. His fucking father will come by, his sister, somebody will come by and check.
Right, right. And that's some kind of community in some sense that you need because guess what? They're looking at it like, yo, we in this together. We live in the same hood.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? We
Well,
need
but
each
that's
other.
that's the commonality of poverty, right?
Yeah,
I know being poor that I've got to constantly, it's constantly a hustle to get things done. If I got something I'm good at and you got something you're good at, why don't we just be, I'll do a
yeah,
little bit of, but that's how more impoverished communities work, where you can still barter some services. You can still get a hookup, right? You don't got that
yeah.
in these more affluent parts of society, right? It's
Nah,
only
people,
about the dollar there.
yeah, people just try to mind their business and stay out of everybody's way.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we've adapted that sometimes in the hood too. And it's been to our detriment, no
Well, yeah,
escaping
there's
it.
a reason why you want to keep the poors separated, right? You want to keep them at each other's throat, because if we ever realize that we're all in the same boat and it's the people pissing on us and saying that it's raining that are the problem, they're going to have, it's going to be fucking The Dark Knight Rises, eat the rich.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's so many dynamics when it comes to what actually the rich is doing, or the powerful, I should say, as well, to control the narrative.
I think that's the synergy point is that word you just said, control.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
if there's a means of control, they're dabbling in it.
absolutely. Which is why, and I'll say this, and again, like, share, subscribe, folks, in the Cypher Podcast. We just chopping it up on some philosophical talking points as well as intellectual right here. And these are power dynamics, essentially, we're discussing. But one of the power dynamics that I notice is when I talk to some people and I have conversations, and I've had this with a friend where he threw me off. And I'll say this, I said to him, I said, you know, I've read about quote unquote history when it comes to European history, and it's not good. Like, even in high school, the basic history that we learn, it's not good.
Well, it's
Like, it's
constant
not,
war.
it's constant war, right?
There's a big time war happening almost throughout all of Europe's history.
Every time, right? So we have the conversation and we're talking, and he's just like, well, I don't want to base everything on that. And I was like, well, I'm saying like this is data. Like I'm giving you facts. Like I'm not trying to like sway your opinion. Your opinion is irrelevant. This is just what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And then he goes, well, what if the data is misconstrued? What if the data is incorrect? And what if it's wrong and such forth? I said,
Well,
okay,
let's
so
talk
what if
about what do you think is misconstrued?
well, here's the thing. My attitude was, tell me, what would you use then? And he goes, well, if anything, I'll just use my eyesight, what I see and what I hear. I said, so you're going to use what you see and what you hear as opposed to thousands of data points to tell me that what I'm saying is wrong, but you're the one that's just hanging around in your small space, seeing probably 6 people a day, and you're going to tell me that my opinion is wrong, and you're going to trust your eyes and trust what you hear coming from other people that you barely know.
So he's gonna put more value in his anecdotal experiences than in actual
data.
hard data.
Yeah.
But you just described MAGA. They're more willing to put their trust in their 1 or 2 interactions with this group that they hate than they are to look at actual data points. They go crazy like dogs for red meat over trans athletes. They do.
That shit is stupid.
These motherfuckers wake up in the morning thinking about fucking girl dick, bro. I swear to God. Bro. But they think about it so much that it's, all I got to do is throw that in there, and they're gonna be foaming at the mouth. They don't need. If I tell them that there's, we should ban trans athletes in sports, none of them are gonna take a second to ask the question, how many trans athletes are there in the NCAA?
Man, there's barely like 10 or something
There's
like that.
There's 10 across the entire NCAA. All divisions, all fucking disciplines. Everything.
Yeah.
10 of them.
Yeah. Utterly ridiculous, man. Utterly ridiculous and a waste of time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's such a distraction, but they strike such a nerve that actual campaign is what tipped people over away from Kamala. I mean, Kamala made a huge bunch of mistakes. Kamala made huge mistakes as far as disappearing from the people's eyesight and not even having discussions on TV.
Well, that was definitely. How do you announce late and then immediately disappear?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll tell you, I think the biggest mistake she made was pandering to everyone. Trying to, I don't want to say that she did a lot of unnecessary pandering.
I don't know if she did.
You don't think so?
I think she did like maybe 2 times. She did to like her black constituents and did the whole Megan Thee Stallion and having all the black people support her, blah, blah, blah. Who gives a... And then she went into a different space where she went then to, who was it? I forgot whose daughter that she was hanging out with. That's like, Cheney's. And it was just like,
pandering to the right.
Yeah. So she did 2 things.
And then when she's in front of LGBT communities, pandering to LGBT communities.
But the thing is, I don't think she reached out to the part of the problem, and this is to give a greater context. Part of the problem with the Democratic Party, and this the reason why I bring them up so much, is because I want it to be understood that these are issues that we do not need to have in the third party that will come up, because there will be a third party that will come out of this. I can guarantee you we will look back in a couple of years, decades, and go, you remember when, and we're going to remember this era and this point here, and there'll be a third party and possibly, hopefully 4 or 5.
I was going to say, there might be a 4th party.
Because ultimately we need the diversity and we're going to welcome it. And Americans are saying they want it based on just the way that they're responding to Trump and ICE in general, but also the way that they're responding to Kamala and Biden and Clinton and all the Democrats that came before that were actually just straight disaster. They've all been a disaster. The funniest thing, the most successful one, was actually Biden. Biden actually was more successful than mostly all of them. And the unfortunate thing is, he didn't shut down Gaza. He didn't stop that war. If he did that, I think you might have won a lot of people over and said, hey, we're going to put finances and stop giving it to Ukraine, stop giving it to Israel, and we're going to
Had
just take care of home.
you done what you're saying, I think Kamala would have won. Because they wouldn't have been
110%.
able to bludgeon her with
Gaza.
Now, I was going to say, it's the duality of duplicity of the Republicans, right? They are all for continuing the genocide in Gaza and then want to turn around and look at her and say, well, but you're supporting the genocide in Gaza.
The hypocrisy.
Yeah, there it goes.
I think
it's my favorite of all the sins.
You know, I do think that with her and with a lot of the Democrats, they're going to have to rebrand themselves in this time frame to do way better. I think they definitely have to take a page out of Zoran's book, but also there's a Texas senator that's running right now, and he's running against Jasmine Crockett. And I think Tarico, I think they should pay attention to him too.
Yes.
I think
Jasmine Crockett made a huge mistake.
Yeah, she's gonna lose. She's gonna lose. There's no winning that. There's no winning that. Jasmine Crockett, to me, unfortunately, is a little bit too more on the showboat side and too much about upstaging Trump and all this other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
People don't want to hear that. They want to hear about what do you want to do. They want to hear you address issues.
You want to know what we need to do? If you want a very succinct idea on what we need to do in the next couple of years, we need to purge the government of everybody whose personality is Trump, whether it's pro or against. If everything that you've done and talked about over the last few years is just Trump and you haven't actually done anything with your time as a legislator, I think we need to reevaluate your job.
Yeah, I agree. And this is something we talk about often is like, I do think that people need to go. Like a lot of people need to get kicked out of that, man. 110%.
They need to be reminded that that's a job that we're rewarding them with, not something that they've earned it, that they're entitled to. It's not something they're entitled to.
Yeah, I like that. I like that word, entitled. I think that hits it on the head. But we're going to see more changes down the line because I don't see any way that people are going to stay with the Democratic Party. There is going to be a change and a fork in the road, man. And I hope it happens sooner than later, and I hope to be a part of it for a little while.
I would like to, I would like to actually see that. I'm not sure. Like I've said before, I think that has to, not that it has to, but I think in the current dynamic, that grows out of the current Democratic Party. But I don't think you see a name rebranding. I think you might see an ideological rebranding sooner than you see a name rebranding and a split, where they're almost going to take over the party by name and then ostracize out the corporate Democrats.
Okay.
Right? To the point where they almost need to go create a different party because they've been ostracized from their own party.
Yeah, you're right about that. Right about that.
We've talked about it before, and I don't think I ever articulated it that way, but I do see that as the road forward for people who are left-leaning voters.
We're going to see, man. We're going to see. I love the fact that we're just in that space right now where things are undecided so we could find out more.
Yep.
I want to see where people are going to go, and I want to find out more, man. So let's keep rolling.
Yes, sir.
You know, in the Cypher Podcast, folks, like, share, subscribe. How you feeling, man? You want to wrap up?
I mean, I don't know if we got anything else. This is true. Oh, no, dude, you know what I wanted to mention to you? So you had mentioned the Christopher Hitchens episode where they're talking about Rubio's ties to South American drug gangs. And this hit me completely after listening to that episode. How did Trump know to call Marco Rubio Little Marco? Because from listening to that episode, it seems like that was something that he was called in certain circles before becoming his adversary at the primaries. But he called him he knew to call him that name. This whole This whole house of cards is a blackmail ring. It's all a fucking blackmail ring. It's I know shit about you, even though you know shit about me.
Mm.
Man,
You got a
these
point
people.
there because they probably did the research. They 110% did. And
Trump would be the motherfucker to throw that out there.
yeah, because he don't care.
Not even that he don't care, but that's a gangster tactic, yo. Let me mock you with something that you're gonna understand, but everybody else is gonna laugh at. You're gonna get the disrespect. Everybody else is gonna think it's a joke.
Mm. Mm.
That's why I told you
You got a
I
point.
don't think he's a stupid man. When it comes to being spiteful and trolling and being evil, he's very intelligent in those circles.
I do think so. It makes sense. He's been like that for some time
Yeah, son.
with that.
That's some New York shit, son. That's some New York shit.
Yeah.
You got a lot of motherfuckers in New York that are like that. And through and through, he is a New York nigga. I don't care what you say, son.
Yeah, he's straight slime.
Shiesty.
Yeah. 110% slime.
Mm-hmm.
He is he is the bottom of the underbelly.
Gang, he's the nigga in what is that, Washington Square Park with the 3-car Monte? He just made it big. Ripping you off,
Yeah.
son. Scamming.
Yeah. Scamming people. Absolutely, man. He did a perfect job in that. Perfect job.
Speaking of scamming, we didn't get to play it, but there's a conspiracy going around. Kristi Noem's big Texas hat fucking press conference she gave, that it was AI generated.
Yes. Saw that too. I think you shared that with me.
I think I did, man. Dude,
Yeah,
I'm telling you, we're
because
living in the upside down world, bro. I've been trying to, and I'll give a pointer for all of you people out there. If you want to know whether or not the video you're watching is AI, count 8 seconds. If you can't get 8 seconds off without an angle change, a clip, and any kind of edit, it's probably not real.
It's a gem for you folks. Just bear that in mind.
And that's only going to help you with regular people. I'm sure the government got enough money to make more than an 8-second fucking video.
Oh, man.
Dude, fucking NATO is calling up troops from a bunch of their member countries to protect Greenland.
Yes, I've heard about that too.
We're dropping a 25% tax on all NATO countries, or tariff. I'm sorry, a tariff on all these NATO countries starting February 1st. Bro, we are living in 1985.
Yes, 110%.
All the way in it, because these motherfuckers are gonna run around and try to tell me why Greenland is so fucking important. If you want to know why Greenland's important, is because he feels like now it boxes Canada in. That's why he wants Greenland. Because then he could turn around and say, he's going to turn around and be like, oh, well, but look, Canada's sandwiched on all sides by the United States. It should just be down with us.
You think so? I think he's looking for resources.
Yes, but there are some resources in Greenland, but it's not, it's not resource rich like Venezuela is.
Oh, yeah. No place is, though.
Yeah, apparently. And that's beyond oil, dude. That's beyond oil.
Oh, yeah. Oil, I mean, diamonds, all that stuff. They got a lot of things there. I mean, and then you talk about the natural rainforest. I mean, you can't lose. Can't lose.
Yeah, man.
There's plenty going on over there.
And we've got you ever see an Idiocracy? President Camacho? That's who's running the fucking show.
Oh, man. It's going to be interesting, man.
We'll be here to talk about it and keep everybody fucking informed.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah, folks. Again, like, share, subscribe, and the Cypher Podcast, folks. So, signing out. I'm your co-host, Cujo Brown.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us for episode 2. I'm your other co-host, the Bad Guy, and we out.
We out.
Peace.